The book of Hebrews, chapter 11, verse 6 says, without faith, it is impossible to please God. But I think it should say, without faith and obedience, it is impossible to please God, because it's the obedience of you showing God that I hear you, I trust you, I believe you, that I'm going to do what you tell me to do. If you read in the same chapter, verse 7, it says, by faith, Noah, being warned by God concerning events as yet unseen, took heed. Okay, that's an obedience. Like if I take heed, I'm obeying what you said, and constructed an ark for the saving of his household. By this he condemned the world and became an heir of the righteousness which comes by faith. And verse 8 says, by faith Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out of a place which he was to receive as an inheritance. So if you have faith, your faith will be measured by how much you obey God. If God tells you don't go somewhere, you're going to obey God. God tells you to call someone, are you going to obey God? Because if you have faith, then your obedience will show that. But if you don't have faith, then your actions will show that. Your lack of obedience will show that. I grew up in a very stern household. My dad was very strict. And then I had the audacity to go to the military. And so I grew up just doing what people told me to do. I never cared about what they really felt like, meaning that I didn't have any respect for the laws. I didn't have any respect for the rules. I just did it to be left alone. But as I became a believer and I really started to see that God wants me to trust him. God wants me to be obedient. God wants me to do what he tells me to do. Why? Because it's for my benefit. When you learn to obey God, it's because it's for your benefit. Whatever God tells you to do is for your benefit. But if you don't trust God, if you don't believe that God exists, and it says that in verse 6, and it says, without faith, it is impossible to please him. For whoever would draw near to God must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who seek him. So your actions, your faith will determine how much faith you have in God. Whatever God is telling you to do, if you're obedient to that, that will determine your faith. But if you're not obedient to God, then you're not going to do it. If you don't trust God, then you're not going to do it. If you don't have a respect for God, you're not going to do it. So your faith is determined by your obedience. Thanks for watching. Bye.